Hello, it's so good to meet you. I'm Stasha, the period coach, and I'm the author of The Revolution Will Be Bloody, as well as the founder of Period Coaching School. And I'm here today to talk to my relationship coaches. So if you're a business coach, or if you're a health coach, or if you're interested in becoming a period coach, I've got videos for you. Scroll down. But for today, I'm just focusing in on my relationship coaches. So grab a cuppa and take a seat, and let's have a little chat today. So, I wanted to share with you the importance of period coaching in relationship coaching, and you may ask why I'm even talking about that. And here's the thing. I started off with endometriosis, a very painful, horrifying condition that left me basically unable to cope for about 2 weeks a month. In those 2 weeks, I was broken, could not do anything, could just be on the floor of my bathroom. And I thought that there needed to be a way in which I could make a full-time income from home, from being able to work in bed for 2 weeks out of the month. And that's what led me into the health coaching industry. I'd been a dancer, I taught ballet bar and yoga and Pilates and bartended and even ran a restaurant. But I decided I was going to go into health coaching and that way I could work from home. In the first year of working with as a health coach working with athletes, I discovered that all of my athletes had period problems, and all of those period problems were much easier to fix than endometriosis, which turns out to not to be a hormonal imbalance, but something a little bit different. So everything I had learned for 20 years trying to fix myself was very applicable to basically everyone else. So I started doing hormonal balance coaching. Now, of course, my coaching clients were in relationships. There were a lot of them that were in marriages. There were a lot of them that were in business with their partners. So I ended up working with a lot of people who were in partnerships. And, as I learned how to run my business with flow, and as I taught my clients how to run their businesses with flow, we also accidentally saved some marriages along the lines. So it wasn't what I set out to do. It wasn't something that I marketed. But every now and then, I would get a husband in the video screen who would pop in and say, "Hey, just wanted to say thank you. This has completely transformed our relationship, and I just wanted to say thanks." Or I'd get an email from somebody who said, "You've saved my marriage. I know that's not what we were doing with our coaching, but it turns out that those skills around my cycle actually created a line of communication and saved my marriage." So it was so empowering and amazing and just made my heart jump for joy when I would see those kinds of things, because while that wasn't the point, what better side effect could I have gotten from period coaching than creating more love and happier, healthier relationships, right? So in it was one of those things that made me really realize how important understanding our periods, our cycles is to the communication in our relationships, is to having healthy relationships. And as you know, it starts with yourself. So the more my clients understood their cycles and their periods, they were able to understand themselves and their needs and their desires, and then communicate that to other people. So as you know, it starts with yourself and kind of spills outwards. And this is the same thing. The more they knew about themselves and their cycles, the better their relationships were. So I was able to take what I thought was really a broken me and turn it into this absolutely brilliant way of being. And I'd like to take that same idea of ignoring or pretending it doesn't exist or that it doesn't have influence, our cycles, and take that from being in this broken paradigm into one of absolute brilliance and flow for you and for your clients. So I thought I would start off today and just share with you some of the biggest red flags that I saw in my clients around their relationships and what I'm calling relationship PMS. So these are things that, of course, you'll see regular PMS in your clients, but it might not be as obvious if you're not talking within that context. So yes, of course, there's bloating and mood swings and fatigue and brain fog and sore boobs and all those kinds of things, crying at the puppy commercial. I have done it. Can't pretend I haven't. So all those things do happen in that PMS hormonal imbalance. But when you're working with clients and relationships, you're more likely to see these kinds of things. So having clients where you see them having a monthly fight, where there's some kind of tension. It could even just be a breakdown for themselves if you work with single people. But you're seeing a monthly cyclical repeating pattern of fighting, frustration, friction, something in this space that you see coming up month after month. And there's not a resolution, things don't get fixed. It's like an explosion until they likely get their period and those hormones shift out, and then it's calm again until the next month where it comes up again. Quitting in a huff. So whether it's quitting coaching with you or the relationships or they're getting a divorce or they're just exasperated, and you'll see this coming up cyclically where they just feel like they are quitting in a huff. And you'll see it again every month very cyclically, you'll see these patterns coming. So knowing how to chart and showing your clients how to chart is what's going to show these patterns the quickest. But even if you're just mentally noting, and in fact, you may have a client or two right now that you're thinking, okay, you know what? I have seen these fights or this depression or this quitting that comes up over and over and over again in this pattern. And it's not necessarily a limiting belief or a relationship block or a past trauma. It might simply be hormones. And in fact, 80 to 90% of people with periods will have a hormonal imbalance. So it's very likely that any of your clients that have a menstrual cycle have a hormonal imbalance. And this is very much where it will show up for them. Communication issues. So you'll see problems with your clients being able to communicate fully, or they'll be choosing the wrong time. So they may be going into that really emotionally charged phase of their menstrual cycle and trying to communicate then with a partner when their verbal skills are also at the lowest. Not the best time to be communicating. So you'll see communication issues where they're like maybe feeling that the communication is really good and things are working out really well and there's great flow and communication in the relationship. And then all of a sudden there's a breakdown and it's a continuous, I can't quite get to the bottom of the why. That root cause may simply be trying to do things in the wrong phase of their cycle, and it's showing up in this communication breakdown. Stunted self-awareness may happen as well, right? So when you don't understand your cycle and don't understand your flow, you don't understand what's happening to your body and how your hormones affect your mood, your change, your strengths, your mental capacities. There are just points of strength where some things are better at this time than others. And if you don't know that, you can't have that level of self-awareness that you need. So no matter what work you do, if you don't understand this, you're always going to have a level of stunted self-awareness. You can't have a really full functioning relationship where you don't understand what's happening in your own body. Now, fatigue and this last one, roller coasters. So you may see clients that have just really deep fatigue and they just cannot for the life of them be bothered. Maybe they don't show up for a call if it's at a certain time of their cycle. Or you may see a roller coaster where they have a lot of fatigue, but then they have a lot of energy. And so they're really way high up here wanting to get all the things done and all this accomplishment and these great strides being made. And then they're coming crashing down and they're dipping into a really deep fatigue or depression or anxiety. And this is the flip side of the coin. So you may just have that time where they get really low and feel completely unconfident, feeling really depressed or lackluster, really just down. Or you may see a really high high accompanied by that same low low. And they're just different styles of hormonal imbalance, but they're ones that you'll very typically see in clients. Again, hormonal imbalance, something that just needs to come back into balance and can be fixed. So then the flip side of the coin is, what does a relationship in flow look like? And this is what you're ideally guiding your clients into. And if you have this menstrual cycle awareness, you can really help them do this even quicker and more successfully and for a longer term, because it will be something that they can take forever forward. So knowing where you are and where you're going next confidently, right? So as we just said, if you know your menstrual cycle, if you know what's going on in your menstrual cycle, you know where you are, you know what you will typically feel like in this phase of your cycle, and you'll know what your next phase is going to be. So you are not fooled by a testosterone surge in your cycle that gives you higher levels of confidence, and then coming out of it and feeling lower confidence. You're not going to go, well, I'm an absolute failure anymore. You'll be able to say, I'm just moving out of my testosterone confidence surge, and I'm not any less capable today than I was yesterday. I'm just not feeling as alive and confident simply because my hormones shifted. And that's all you need to know to keep moving forward and making really good progress. So knowing where you are in your cycle, knowing where you are in your relationship, because you're no longer in that muddied space where you don't understand why you can't connect. You understand why you're having trouble connecting, and you'll understand how to fix that. So creating connection. You'll be able to communicate with your partners. Hey, this is what's happening. This is where I am in my cycle. This is what's coming up next for me. Yeah, absolutely. Last week I was super excited and just wanted to jump into bed. And now this week I'm going to be moving into my luteal phase where I'm not as ready to go and I need more cuddle time and more love. And let's just start with some massage, and you can know what you need to create that connection and to open up that communication with yourself and your partner, which is understanding and planning your needs and your desires, right? So you understand what you need to have your hormones balanced, to feel the best that you can. You understand your desires, what you enjoy and what you love in each phase, which is going to change with each phase of your cycle. And that's normal, that's to be expected, and that's how it should be. So you can understand what your needs are and what your desires are and what you're going to need next and what your desires will be next. So you can communicate that, and it's all much more confident, right? And all of this is to say you're in action, not reaction. So instead of constantly reacting to the outside, what your partner is saying or what your partner is needing or what you think you should be doing, instead of reacting to everyone else, you're in action because you understand what's going on. You can move forward powerfully. Your partner can understand what's happening, and you can actually make those decisions in action rather than continuously feeling like you're always putting out fires and being in this reaction mode. So here's a quick little cycle at a glance, and I just wanted to give you this brief little overview because you might not understand some of those terminologies that I was using previously. So menstrual, obviously, it's that, 5 to 7 days where you have your menstruation. It's usually within that, though it can be shorter, and that's perfectly fine. It's your winter. So think of menstruation as fully introverted, cuddled by the fire with a cup of hot cocoa and a warm fuzzy blanket. It's that winter introverted time. So it's time to turn within. It's the capable of vision time. It's capable of seeing the big picture time. It's really a beautiful, inspirational time if we can turn it inward and enjoy it and use it instead of what we normally do, which is try to pretend it's not happening, see it as an inconvenience at best, or potentially worse. So if we can turn around and see the positive in it, it's really quite one of the most important phases of our cycle for our overall well-being and happiness. The follicular phase is your springtime phase. It's when your hormones are starting to come back and rise. It's when you're feeling a bit more extroverted and out there. Your libido is starting to rise as well. Moving into ovulation, which is your summer phase. It's your peak extroverted phase. It's your peak libido, confidence, all those things phase. But we can't stay there or we'll end up in the desert because 24/7 summer is the desert. So we do have to move back down into late summer. So the luteal phase. Think of late summer as when you're finishing up the chores, you're bringing in the harvest, you're out there picking stuff out of the fields, you're finishing up tasks, you're wrapping up those loose ends, you're bringing everything back in. And then deep luteal, this few days before your period, where if you have a hormonal imbalance, you'll see PMS symptoms. It's not a phase of your cycle, PMS. It is a hormonal imbalance. But this is that time where you're really starting to turn more inward. You're enjoying that crisp, cool autumn air on your face. You're having a cup of hot cocoa out on the porch, but you've also got the fire lit and you're looking forward to a good book by the fire in a few minutes, right? So thinking of it as this progression and these energies from introverted to extroverted and back makes a huge difference in your relationship and your communication issues in that relationship. So one of my favorite tools that I use with my clients is called the Dirty Socks Principle. I invented this many years ago, and it's what I use to explain the cycles within the context of relationships. So when you are in a relationship and your partner can't get their dirty socks into the dirty clothes hamper, next to, around, on the floor, but just not in, and you want to murder them with a rusty spoon, this is the Dirty Socks Principle. So WWHD, what would Hermione do? It actually stands for what, why, how, and do. So in your luteal phase, you're going to ask yourself what's the problem? I want to murder my partner with a rusty spoon because they cannot get their socks into the hamper. Why? This is your menstrual phase. So you're not going to try to judge it. You're not going to try and fix it. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to acknowledge that this is a problem. And you're going to move into the why phase. Why is it a problem? So in your menstrual phase, again, when all those hormones are low, you're in that introverted space where you can really see big pictures, you'll ask yourself why. Likely, you're not the maid, you're not their mom, you're their partner and should be treated with the respect of a partnership, right? How? Follicular phase. How do we fix this? This is your strategy phase. Your brain is just set up to be able to strategize really effectively. So, how do we fix this? All right, well, how does my partner hear me best? At the pub with a pint, after a yoga class, on a hike, in the morning, over a cup of coffee at breakfast, right? How does your partner hear you best? How do you have the best conversations? And then in ovulation, you go ahead and do it. And if you repeat this pattern, you will see after months, depending on how messed up the relationship is, you will see after 1 or 2 or 3 months improvement. And that what phase is going to be much less tumultuous. That luteal phase is going to have a lot less up and down and negativity to it because you're resolving problems in these month cycles. And some of them will take longer and you'll have to readjust and try new things, but you keep going in this cycle and you will be resolving problems until you're essentially just kind of living in a nice harmonious bubble. And believe me, it's phenomenal. I enjoy my very easy, chill bubble because we work through things with my cycle. And the results bring you a really happy, healthy relationship. And I did this with myself, being super single for many years. And I say super single because I had zero interest in being in a relationship with anybody. And I really quite enjoyed resolving a lot of my own issues and own conflicts. And then when I did start into a relationship, being able to start that relationship with the vocabulary and understanding of myself, my own needs, my own wants, my own desires. So being able to have those communications where no party is feeling attacked or less than, and you can have really functional, healthy conversations around every aspect of your relationship. That's the results you want for your clients. That's the results that you can have. So congratulations on being here. You are a visionary in your industry. You are a pioneer in your industry. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. The taboo around menstruation is thick and real. And if you really weren't a visionary or a pioneer in your industry, you would not be here. But because you can see the big picture and you want to help your clients in every and absolute way possible, you're here. So welcome to a wide open field. Period coaching industry is very fresh. I've been doing it for about a decade now. There's not a lot of us out there. It's very scattered and there's a billion niches. I mean, we're talking infinite amount of niches. Just think about the relationship coaching industry, how many niches you have. Being single, dating, finding your soulmate, relationship, marriage, children, divorce, whether or not to get divorced, after divorce, remarrying after divorce. There's a billion different ways. And then all of that, there's different ways of doing it. Maybe you use EFT, maybe you use hypnosis, maybe you use pathway regression, maybe you use talk therapy. There's so many ways and so many niches just in the relationship industry. It's the same thing with period coaching. There are a billion niches in the period coaching industry. So when you bring those two together, you really set yourself apart from the other people in your industry, and you've got two very large industries with which you can connect with. So I made this little slide here with some of the kind of off the top of my head period niches. Obviously start with endometriosis because that's mine, and PMS because that's like 80 to 90% of people with periods have PMS. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of that. And then the relationship niches. And I just off the top of my head, these are some of the ones that came up for me. So if you start combining these things like heteronormative partnerships and fertility awareness, that is a niche. How do you have a good partnership where you are trying to or trying not to become pregnant, and that's causing discord in the relationship? So being able to take whatever niche that you're in, and maybe it's even just expanding it into flow. Maybe you do finding your soulmate in flow, and it's just about using your cycle to create self-love, self-care, self-pleasure, to date, to put yourself out there, and to do all of that with flow, using those phases of the cycle to your advantage, going on those dates when your verbal skills are peaking, So then, as a visionary pioneer in these wide open fields, you have an amazing community. So it's a really fantastic community of people who get it, who understand the importance of it, the value of it, and just how integral it is to being a really successful coach. And then, of course, that means more collaboration opportunities. So different people in different industries, and you all have that same theme of doing it in flow. So you are easily recommended. You increase the amount of money you're making, you increase your referrals, you increase your affiliate sales, you can increase your even programs and doing collaboration programs with people. So you really increase your visibility, your awareness, your growth, your income, and the ease of which you do this because it's just easier to have other people helping make those recommendations than you constantly being out hustling on your own. And of course, it's very fulfilling. I mean, I said earlier, my heart it just explodes with joy when I hear from a client that I've saved their marriage or that their relationship is just deepened and better. Or when a husband pops up on a video screen and says, "Thanks." That was fantastic. So, I just wanted to send this word of caution. Menstruating clients can be damaged. So, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not working with their cycle, if you're ignoring it and you're giving them the wrong things at the wrong time, you can be doing damage to your menstruating clients. So, I just really want you to be aware of their cycles and what they need and making sure that you're educating yourself and them so that everyone is in flow together and doing everything so that you're not worsening a hormonal imbalance. And every action that you take, from the food that you eat to the smells around you to the noise, the sights, the sounds, the touch, the movement, the community, the relationships, the conversations, everything affects your hormonal balance. So you're either increasing or decreasing that balance. There's not really a neutral. So I just want you to be aware that your clients need you. They need you to understand what's going on and they need you to help them so that they're becoming more into balance and not less. And you might not be seeing it because it might be happening after you're done working together with them, but it is happening. So, this is the point where I'd love to invite you into the Period Coaching School. It's a fantastic community. It's where you will learn all of these things, not only how to work for yourself and as well as for your clients. You yourself don't necessarily have to be menstruating. We do everything with moon cycles as well, but it's where you get to really familiarize yourself with your cycles, with the different aspects of them, the pluses, the pros, the superpowers of each phase, how to use those things for yourself, for your clients, and of course, what hormonal balances look like in your clients so you can actually even help them along the lines and saying things like, from what you've been telling me, I really think you may have PCOS. It might be time to go to your doctor and have a conversation with them and ask them specifically for these tests. So you may even be able to help your clients on that level, even if that's not necessarily your niche, being you're going to have hormonal imbalances with your clients. And the more your clients are educated, the more they're going to come to you and they're going to say, "Hey, this is what I have. I have PMDD. How can I have a healthy relationship with this problem?" And you're going to be able to tell them how, right? So knowing this stuff and having this information is huge. Plus, it's a fantastic community full of really rad people. So, that doesn't hurt. So in the school, you're going to have these 5 steps to flow. So we're all going to start together charting and observing. So whether you're using your menstrual cycle or the moon cycle to chart, you're going to start charting. You're going to learn the lingo. You're going to make observations in yourself and really deepen your own self-knowledge. You're going to start planning in flow. You'll run your business with flow. You'll start thinking about plans with your clients in flow. You'll have the masterminds so that you can come to masterminds, ask questions, get help, support, whatever you need. If you're already working with clients, you can bring maybe some tough client problems to us. But you'll have the masterminds to talk through things and discover new opportunities and, of course, educate. You'll have not just myself, but a phenomenal group of guest teachers, some pre-recorded, some live, who will come in and share with you and teach you all these different nuances to period coaching. And of course, collaboration, because as you learn about everyone else in the community and the work that they do, you're going to want to collaborate and help and refer and create partnerships. So great opportunity within the school to collaborate, help each other out, work together, create together, refer partnerships, all those good things. And of course, all of that's going to create this very empowering freedom. And I can't tell you what that's like because until you experience it, there's just no words. But the level of stress, of anxiety that you may not even realize is there, that is lifted as you learn these things about yourself and as you're working with your clients and you're able to see more accurately what's really going on with them. It's a level of freedom that just feels like you're standing on top of the mountain in classic, superhero pose, just knocking it out in the world, and you'll feel phenomenal. And when I do exit interviews with my clients, the two words that they say the most is I feel empowered and I feel free. So I stick with those because that's what I've been told and that's how it felt for me. And that's just at the end of the day, that's the truth. So I'm inviting you to apply. Head to periodcoachingschool.com/apply. You'll be able to put your name and email in, and you'll get an email back immediately. And in that email, you'll have two links, one to a short 2-question application form. Be bold, go big. It could be one sentence in each of them, but just go for it. Tell me what you really think. And then a link to sign up for a quick call with me. So we'll have a quick one-on-one chat. You can ask any questions that you may have. We'll make sure that the Period Coaching School is a good fit for you because at the end of the day, this is a relationship. So we'll make sure that the school is a good fit for you and your needs and your business, as well as that you're a good fit for us in the school, so that we have a beautiful circle of students that we're all going to go on this journey together with. And it will be that collaborative, amazing, safe space in which to get this education and move forward. So I would love to see you in the school. I hope that you'll hit that apply button. Can't hurt to find out. So jump in, have that conversation with me, and hopefully I'll be welcoming you to the school soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you inside.